In the original Monster Squad from 1987, some kids foolishly band together to fight Dracula and his gang of monsters. Today, on 3 Picks, we're assembling a real Monster Squad with 100% more monsters. This is 3 Picks Monster Squad.
You can't just pick one, you can't just pick two. Oh no, you gotta pick 3, or we ain't picking you. 3 Picks, the podcast.
Welcome, everyone. This week in 3 Picks, we are picking a monster squad. This is going to be pretty fun. So we are picking characters, or rather monsters from movies that feature monsters, and we're going to form our own squad. Speaking of which, I am by my co-host, Clint Tomerlin. How are you doing this week, Clint?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. You know, a little scared from all these monster movies I've been watching.
Dude, I've had so much fun watching these movies.
I'm talking the one with Charlize Theron, and that was all I got through. It was just monster. That's what we were supposed to do, right?
Wait, were we were doing serial killer true crime monsters?
Oh man, this is awkward.
I was way off. Oh, man.
Samsonite.
I was watching a lot of Pixar this week. Not the same thing. You can't put up Sully. Can you put up Sully against Charlize in Monster? Who do you think would win in a battle? Sully. What's her name? I forget her name.
She's a real person.
I've seen the doc. I've seen the documentary series
Eileen
too.
Something.
Eileen. It's Eileen versus Sully.
Yeah, Sully's dead for sure in that setting.
Yeah, no, Sully. I think Sully's gone.
That's unfortunate that I did not fucking think about Monsters Inc. for this episode.
You know, I can't say I did. I didn't either.
Yeah, it didn't even cross my mind.
I've honestly been so off of Pixar for so many years now.
Yeah.
Just almost it's starting to come back just a little bit. I am very interested to go see Hoppers at some point this week.
Yeah,
but around Monsters University time, Brave, I started to check out on Pixar, and not for any of the other reasons. I mean, I just found there to be a distinct lack of quality from, I don't know, the mid 2010s going on.
Yeah, I like Monsters University. Actually, I like that movie because when it ends, the moral is, you know, maybe not everybody should go to college. Like maybe you should get a trade job. For a big studio movie, I was like, that's pretty good.
I get that. I understand that. But I'm coming from the generation where you were told to go to college. And
It's not my fault.
You know, after all the student debt, after all the loans, after all the many, many years, I mean, I was in college or in university for upwards of 7 or 8 years of my life.
And you're a doctor?
And so, right. And I'm doctor. Well, I have 2 master's degrees. So what I often tell people, or I like to, you know, justify in my own brain, is that because I spent the time to get 2 master's degrees, mathematically, that means that I technically have a doctorate. If all these yahoos can have honorary doctorates, I can craft, we did a video game episode a couple weeks ago. I can craft 2 master's degrees into a doctorate degree. I have been known as Dr. Kennedy in different parts. My students often used to refer to me as Dr. Kennedy. So for a long time, I was affectionately called Dr. Kennedy, and that has made its way into email signatures at various points in time. So yeah, Dr. Kennedy to some, Chris to most.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I look forward to whatever you're going to implement with RFK Jr. as we maha, you know. So I think that's it's exciting. I'm looking for mandatory yoga. Yeah.
He always sounds like he's gargling salt water or something.
I feel like he's more like Frankenstein's monster, and it's just instead of a lightning strike, they hooked him up to like an old lawnmower, and so he's just starting all the time. It's like it's kind of alive. There, back to monsters.
All right, let's go ahead and get right into this. This may be a bit of a shorter episode, a little bit more of a fun episode, because we know all the other episodes are so boring. So what are we doing this week? We are creating a monster squad. We're doing this in conjunction with the release of Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Clint, my first thing when I saw the Lee Cronin's The Mummy trailer was, who the fuck is Lee Cronin?
Wow.
I had to do my you're a lot better. You're a lot better at the new directors and like everything that they have done. I'm always getting my information from you when it comes to who has done what recently and whatnot. But when I first saw the Mummy trailer and it was called Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I was like, wait, who did he write a book or something? What? And this is as a result of A24's marketing. We know for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Clint, that Brendan Fraser is not in Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
No, it has nothing to do with Brendan Fraser, but they are doing another Brendan Fraser mummy movie. I talked about this on my solo episode. It's the Ready or Not 2 guys,
yes,
the directing team.
And that is shooting this year, not releasing this year.
Yeah, I think it's next year releases. So, and it's Rachel Weisz and Brendan. I'm there for that.
And tell me, what else has Lee Cronin done?
Evil Dead Rise, which
Evil Dead Rise.
Ripped.
Okay. Gotcha.
Evil Dead
okay,
Rise
for those of you out there who think that Lee Cronin wrote the novel The Mummy, totally wrong.
Yeah,
totally wrong.
Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Lee Cronin is a movie director. He directed Evil Dead Rise. And in this next week, he's releasing not just The Mummy, but his Mummy.
Lee Cronin's Mummy, based off the novel
Mummy,
Push
apostrophe
by
S.
Sapphire.
That implies ownership.
I respect it. I respect it. You know, just if
which by all right, this thing looks scary as fuck, man.
It does. This is one of the very few trailers in the last year that actually scared me a little. The design that they use for the little mummy girl or whatever's going on.
Right.
I'm a little nervous about the runtime being over 2 hours.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
It's like 2:13, 2:15.
Let me clear the day.
That's a lot for a mummy movie that doesn't have Brendan Fraser in it.
And I expect that more. I know there's a lot of people out there that have kids, they have families, they have all this sort of shit. And getting to the movies can be hard. Well, guess what? I have a dog.
Little Ripley, she's
and I've only had a dog for about the last year or so. Before that, totally on my own. This is a major inconvenience for like the single 40-year-old-ish guy who just got a certain adult responsibility. And now you're going to tell me I got to carve out 4 or 5 hours out of my day to make it my way to the theater, watch all your advertisements.
Yeah.
And in between, there's like the movie. Come on.
It's too much. Now, if the movie ends up being great, then I'm going to relish all 2 hours and 15 minutes of it and be like, fuck
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is, I think we're planning on, we're going to go see this together, I think, this weekend, right?
Yeah. We're going to go this
weekend.
Tell me,
don't fucking cancel on me.
I'm not going to cancel on you and your dog. Tonight, I'm actually taking my wife to go see a different kind of horror movie. It's Over Your Dead Body with Jason Segel and Samara Weaving.
I can't say I'm a big Seagal fan.
You for sure saw the trailer.
Did I?
With me just the other night. Faces of
Okay. What was my reaction to it?
You said I'm not a big Jason Segel guy. Literally what you said.
Well, yes, that's
nothing
how
if
I
not,
feel about it.
Yeah, nothing if not consistent.
Yeah, I haven't done any of this shrinking stuff on TV. Anyway, so we are forming a monster squad. I have picked 3 monsters, and Clint has picked 3 monsters. Now, if we get any little shitbags in the comments going, oh, technically, that's not a monster. That's a creature. And specifically, it's going to be Timothy Chalamet. He's going to be in the comments.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not a monster. That's a creature. We don't give a shit. We've picked monsters that we have deemed to be monsters, and that's that. If you want to play with the definition of what a monster or a creature is, make your own podcast.
Yeah, or play along. Tell us your 3 that are correct.
Yeah, suspend your disbelief. Clint, settle up.
Chris,
gotta get serious. When I was tasked with creating a monster squad, I take all my responsibilities very, very seriously. And so I thought to myself, what is going to be the objective of this monster squad? Are we going to, I don't know, try to instill world peace? We're going to try to end all war. We could do that with the monsters. We could go the other direction and try to just take over the entire world. And I could just sit upon a throne of, burgers and sip martinis and watch Christopher Nolan movies for the rest of my life. I mean, I kind of do that already, but anyway. So my third option was, I just want to have a damn good time. I want my squad to go out, have a great time. I want to gallivant around the world. And so I thought to myself, What?
You refer to yourself as self. I thought to myself,
Actually,
hey,
my
self.
inner dialogue, we'll get to that in a little bit, but sometimes my inner dialogue more resembles or sounds like Audrey too. Self, what would you like to do tonight? And we want to have a good
No.
time. So,
Canceled.
what monster is going to be a good hang? And so, my first choice is Hellboy. Hellboy,
Yeah.
played by Ron Perlman in the '04 classic directed by Guillermo del Toro. We don't need to go down that road. We know exactly what he's directed. Although
Yeah.
I have to imagine, Clint, what do you think the pitch for Hellboy kind of sounded like whenever Guillermo was in the room? Okay, Guillermo, we love your past work. You know, you do a lot of great monster kind of Frankenstein movies. So, what do you have for us this time? Well, I have a monster. He's now Guillermo. Is this a monster that is created by man? No, he's not created by man. He is from hell. Cool. All right. All right. So, tell us a little bit more about Hellboy. Well, he loves humans. He wants to be a human. Okay, so you have a monster that wants to be a little bit more human. And he wants a woman. He wants a wife. He wants a wife to be friend. Guillermo, this is starting to sound a little bit like Frankenstein. He's not Frankenstein. I swear, it's not Frankenstein. And
Here.
can you imagine
German.
the amount of pitches, if he even has to pitch at this point
Yeah, not
even
anymore.
at this time in his career? Guillermo, is this another Frankenstein movie?
Yeah.
No, not really, but
He
yes.
goes with his little eyes with his glasses. He's like, this time he fucks the fish. You're like, whoa.
And so, yeah, no,
Hell
okay.
yeah.
So my choice being Hellboy. This was such an interesting time in comic books. This is right? This is pre-Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Here's some of the other comic book movies that came out in 2004. We do have the very classic. Now, people give a lot more credit to this movie than I like to give. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, oft referred to as the best comic book movie of all time. It's a good one. It's even a great one. Now, among the greatest, I mean, I guess top 10 maybe. But at the time, people were like, oh my goodness, this is like the biggest thing
That's
ever. I'm
'cause
like,
at the time, it was the best superhero movie that had ever been done.
are
First
you
off,
fucking kidding me?
better
Batman
than
1989.
Batman, Tim Burton, a better movie. Yes, a much better movie. Oh yeah.
No, I will
Yeah.
put up Batman 1989 against Spider-Man 2 any day
No,
of. I'll put
better
up
than-
Batman Returns against
Better than Batman
Spider-Man 2
Returns.
any
Those
day
are
of the
good
week.
movies. Those are good movies. But Spider-Man 2 is a better movie. That's all.
All right. Arguable whether this is a comic book movie or not, although I will say it's the best Fantastic Four movie still ever made. The Incredibles came out this year. The Punisher.
one.
Did you ever see The Punisher?
I have it on Blu-ray.
Fascinating.
I really like that movie. It's not a good
fascinating.
movie, but I really like it.
No, good Kevin Nash cameo in that
Yeah.
one. You know, he
God.
actually got stabbed in that movie. We'll have to talk about that sometime. Blade Trinity. The Blade Trinity, the Blade trilogy goes out
Yeah.
on a bit of a fart.
Yeah, well, because
Then
Guillermo
we-
didn't do it. Because he
Guillermo,
was
exactly.
off doing Hellboy.
Exactly. We then have the much maligned Catwoman.
Yeah, it's bad.
And then kind of in that realm, not necessarily a comic book movie that I'm aware of, but, you know, Sky Captain World of Tomorrow was in 2004 as well. And
Holy
so
green screen Batman.
you did see this kind of, with all these movies, I think you can definitely see a bit of a trend towards the darker. They're playing around with some things, and there were some big hits and some like gigantic, massive, we will remember it for all time misses, like with Catwoman. You know, Blade Trinity, I think, is still a fun watch to a certain degree. It has some value in it's just bad that it's good territory.
It's tough though.
I don't like
'cause it's-
relying on that for too many movies, but
Yeah. Blade is so good, and Blade 2 is really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I love Blade.
That's
Blade
the
2.
hard part. If Blade Trinity existed as its own stupid thing, I think I would enjoy it more than being like,
Right.
you know, I don't want to
Right.
watch those first two movies and then follow it
Yet
up with that.
yet another Triple H cameo. Big weekend for Triple H. As of the recording, we have WrestleMania coming up this weekend. Yeah, being a WWE
Is he
fan,
back?
you may. He runs the show, Clint. He's like in charge.
Does he still do the suck it?
He still, I think, whenever he has the opportunity to, he
The
absolutely
Generation
does.
X? Okay.
Oh yeah. He'll make his
See, I
entrance
know
every
some
once in a
things.
while.
I know
Yeah.
some things.
For all you WWE WrestleMania fans, checking out WrestleMania this weekend in Vegas. Wish I was there, but I'm not going to be. I'll be there next weekend.
Bonesaw is ready.
Bonesaw is ready. Yeah.
Playtime.
Yeah. First name
Rest in
Macho,
peace.
last name Man.
Rest
All right,
rest
back
in
to
peace.
Hellboy.
We have
Back to
ADHD.
Hellboy. Today I do, man. Oh man,
I mean, I have it every day. So I've infected you.
Why is Hellboy such a good hang, and why is he such, honestly, the most perfect monster movie choice I could have made? He's a humanist. He loves humans. He wants to be more human. He's humorous. He's got a dry, sarcastic wit to him. He loves pancakes and he loves cats. Not only that, but he does work out. I work out. So we're going to be workout buddies, man. We're going to go work out, we're gonna pump, we're gonna get our pump in, and then we're gonna go load up on carbs and pet our respective pets. So we'll load up on some pancakes. Clint, what's your favorite pancake style? Do you like them big and thick? I bet you do.
I like them fluffy. I like them fluffy.
I'm a very thin crepe guy.
Oh, crepe. Pancakes.
I want to fill in my calories and my taste with toppings.
I didn't know where you were going to go with that.
But yeah, we work out. So we're going to work out together.
Yeah. And you have the same
color
colored
nipples. Handle his
nipples.
liquor, as can I. And so we are going to just be going all over the world, mostly in Europe, probably, though. I used to lead trips to Europe with a private Christian school, not to be named, but I disown my association with them in all ways, shapes, or form.
Praise God.
I used to take student trips to Europe over there because I've only been to Europe, I think, twice where I didn't have, students with me. And when I did do student trips, I would not drink. I would not partake in anything at all because I'm a responsible educator. Now that I am not a responsible educator, I want to go fuck some shit up in Europe with Hellboy.
Nice. Amsterdam. That's where you go. That's where you go.
We're going to go all over that. We are going to get into all sorts of debauchery. I will say that he is, as I am, annoyed with really bad monster CGI. Throughout this movie, he encounters a number of different monsters, and he's just always incredibly annoyed. And I will say, the thing about this movie is a lot of the designs are wonderful. Everything practical is great, of course. The CGI from this one, I cannot say holds up all that well. I was getting, in some cases, some major Reptile from Mortal Kombat vibes. I don't know if we got totally into Reptile that week, but
when she starts doing the fire, I was like, oh boy.
I know because of the climax of Hellboy. So, the premise of Hellboy, I guess, is, and I've never read a comic book. I can't say I'm a Hellboy head or anything like that. I've only seen these movies. And as far as me liking them, I like them all right. They're fine. I do not hold them in like the uppermost pantheon of comic book movies or even character. But what I do know is that this man can protect me. Okay. And I know that because at the very, so he is brought through the portals of hell.
Yeah, literally.
By Rasputin, Rasputin, who's working in conjunction with some Nazis, which we don't like Nazis. Nazis are bad.
Nazis suck.
And so they come, they kill all Nazis. Rasputin gets sent back into hell. And all of a sudden, there's just this little tiny Hellboy, this little tiny, he's got a big, bifurcated tail. He's got this big ass rock fist thing. He's got horns coming out and he's just running and jumping all over the place. I have to imagine, Clint, that as a child growing up, initially I was of the Lutheran faith. So before I was non-denominational, I was of the Lutheran faith. So boy, I know my catechism. I know all about Martin Luther, but I have to imagine that this Hellboy creature that's just like running all over the place, that had to have been what my Sunday school teachers saw when they saw me coming around the corner as a child.
For sure.
I relate very much so to Hellboy. So yeah, Hellboy is going to be my good hang, my big monster hang. A little bit of background on Hellboy, just because I know I'm not going to do it justice whatsoever. Created in the great year 1993. Dark Horse Comics, his real name is Anung Rama. Am I saying that correctly, Clint? I know you know your Latin or whatever that is. Yeah, he's got yellow eyes. He's incredibly strong. And the other thing is that we are going to be able to go on this monster party, this monster squad party across Europe for a long time. He ages very, very, very slowly.
It's true.
And
you will
while
die
we're
first.
over there, what's that?
You'll die first.
I would no, I will. Yeah. Although I will say, people have said that I've aged fairly gracefully. I do take care of myself. I do yoga. Yeah. I do work out. I have a skin routine. I get a regular mani, a regular pedi, and I get facials as well. So
dang,
I plan to last at least maybe 100th of the time that Hellboy does in Europe. But while we're over there, he's going to be able to translate everything. He knows all of the special ancient languages and such. And so I'm not even going to have to get on Google Translate. But yeah, that is my first pick is Hellboy. I nearly went with Abe Sapien, who I do have to give a big shout out to Doug Jones doing his creature work, of course, with Guillermo. Really cool stuff. He's described as having a unique frontal lobe, although that's not how I would describe this individual whatsoever. He's almost like a creature from the black,
like a fish.
Is he the creature from the Black Lagoon? Is he supposed to be that?
I don't know, but he's got like psychic powers. When he touches things, he can see where they've been or where they're going, type of.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to be in the water, because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, I'm not going to pick him because he's in this water tank. But no, he's gets out and he has like a thing that goes around. He's like a suit that he can wear outside. But Abe Sapien just didn't find him to be as fun. And I was just based on the fact that he was a Nazi. The other guy who had the swords and shit arms. And was like, what do they call it? They say he has a surgical obsession or something like that.
It's crazy. And he looks made of sand.
I mean, his swords and shit, the design is kind of badass, but just based on the fact that he's a Nazi, I didn't think he was going to be a really good hang.
No. There's no way. Yeah, and the humans in this movie are pretty forgettable, except for maybe Jeffrey Tambor.
Dude, the friend that's brought in, who seems, I don't know if that's a comic book character.
Rupert Evans.
Yeah, he's like a wet noodle, man. That's the most vanilla thing I've seen in a movie. I will say this also. We're both bachelors. I'm always on the lookout for a future ex-girlfriend. He is obsessed with Selma Blair. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about him getting in on my game whatsoever. And I don't have to worry about, lusting over Selma Blair, because Selma Blair does not do it for me. So Hellboy can have Selma Blair all he wants. Okay?
Yeah.
Do your thing. Do you rewatch this?
I did. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I loved it the first time I loved it the first time I saw it. I mean, but I was, a teenager or on the cusp of being a teenager. So, rewatching it after years and years, it was okay. I thought, it's fine. I'm like, I get it's charming. I really think the second one is a lot better than the
second one is better. Yeah, I should have watched that one.
Yeah, that one's a better watch. The first Hellboy, it's, sets up the character. It's fine.
The other thing that I have to point out about this movie, there is some really bad early 2000s music takes in this. Really weird music cues sometimes. And I don't know why we couldn't just get the original, but there is a really terrible, terrible version of Red Right Hand in this movie.
Yeah. It is bad. I was surprised because the last year I watched a lot of the Scream movies, and the Red Right Hand is featured prominently in many of them, and so I just had memory hole that song even showed up in Hellboy, and the version that showed up, I was quite appalled. It's like, what a waste of a.
And it was one of those where I was like,
what a waste.
Is that what I think it is? No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a time where I guess we were still doing CD soundtracks, I imagine.
Probably.
Ugh, so it was not good.
Yeah, but movie's fine.
But overall, Hellboy, if you have not seen Hellboy, definitely worth a watch. Is if you're a Guillermo completionist or just enjoy comic book movies, it's a fine watch. I will recommend, however, I don't know why, but both this movie and the 2019 version are both over 2 hours long. Yeah. Why? I watched the director's cut of this one this time around. I can't tell you what was added back in or not. I'm just not that familiar enough with the movie, but it made it 10 minutes longer and it felt like it.
Yeah, I did not see that. I did not see
like
that
the beginning of this movie is great. The end of this movie is great. It gets really mushy in the middle. Did just this morning put on the 20. I must have memory hold this thing. I think everybody has completely forgotten that this even happened, but I did pick up the 2019 David Harbour Hellboy. And I had to really think, because in my mind, this movie came out last year. And it didn't.
Pre-COVID.
It's a pre-COVID movie, which is astounding to me. Never heard anything much about it. Did not land very much. I don't think it made much money. And the Letterboxd reviews on it are absolute 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. I've watched half of it. I'll report back next week, maybe, if it's worth it. But first half of the movie, it's not terrible. I mean, David Harbour's doing Hellboy things. It looks cool. Mila Jovovich is there. Ian McShane's doing John Hurt's performance, which I don't, as far as John Hurt. Welcome to Deadwood. Thanks, Dad.
The Continental. You're like, what?
Yeah, so far it's fine. So far I like it maybe just a tad bit less than the Guillermo, but that's probably just because it's Guillermo.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So I'll report back, see if it's worth watching. There was like a TV series or something.
There's some animated Hellboy movies. There was another Hellboy movie just a couple of years ago that I guess was not really released. Yeah. It wasn't released like widely, and it was some overseas production that apparently they had to make the movie because the studio was losing the rights to it. And I didn't know any of the actors in it, but I saw it come up in my research. I was very confused. It's like, how many fucking Hellboy movies? There's like 4 live action Hellboy movies.
That's so weird. I barely know the David Harbour one. Favorite quote from this is, it does have one of the great trailer lines ever. I actually do remember this from the trailer. John Hurt goes, "There are things that go bump in the night."
Yes, because it's the paranormal, or the Bureau of Paranormal Research or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So there's Hellboy 2004, a fun, fine watch is what I would refer to it as.
I think that's a solid start to your Monster Squad. Solid start. I was not necessarily thinking originally of who I wanted to hang out with, but my first pick is probably the best hang of my Monster Squad. I wanted a real, like, a campy Monster Squad, a little bit of a throwback Monster Squad with just a little bit of the bite thrown in, which will be the pick after this. But my first pick is Little Shop of Horrors from 1986, directed by Frank Oz. This is off of his generational run as Yoda. He directs Little Shop of Horrors just a few years after that series wraps up, which is pretty impressive. And this was based off of the off-Broadway musical starring, I believe Ellen Greene actually was also, she's in the movie, but she was also in the stage.
We just talked about how Selma Blair does not do it for me.
Ellen Greene does.
I think Ellen Greene is one of the sexiest creatures on this planet, man. Oh, I fucking love her.
I love when you do yoga, Clint.
Give me the voice. Give me the voice.
All her little noises. I always lose in my mind when I rewatched it.
I think she was responsible for one of my sexual awakenings. I've had multiple in my life at different times, but she was responsible, at least one of them.
You have one every episode. Like, actually, no, this was my sexual awakening. Actually, no, is this one. But Little Shop of Horrors is a horror comedy musical. The musical off Broadway itself is a musical take of Roger Corman's 1960 Little Shop of Horrors. It has a pretty, for being what feels like a very niche thing, it's had long legs in pop culture. I mean, they've done revivals of the show. This is one of those movies that It did pretty well at the box office, but growing up,
39.1 million
yeah,
worldwide.
there you go. Like it did pretty well. But growing up, I do feel like this movie was just one of those. Everyone was renting it. Everybody had seen it once or twice. It just seemed to be around in the '90s and even
It's a
in the
classic
early
VHS
2000s.
blockbuster.
Yes,
You always saw it at Blockbuster.
yes, 100%. And so, and unfortunately, a lot of the names in the movie, are like Ellen Green. I think in the theater community, Ellen Green still gets her due, but really in movies, she really didn't do.
Pushing
Is not.
Daisies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the TV show, that's right.
That was
Rick
my
Moranis.
37th sexual awakening was during Pushing Daisies.
37th and a half. Rick Moranis is in this, and he's another one. He retired from acting for a while. I hear he is coming back in Spaceballs 2.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, but
what's he coming back for?
Spaceballs 2.
Spaceballs, that's right.
Yeah. Spaceballs, watch out. I love Spaceballs. I know not everybody's big on that one, but that's another childhood classic for me. Rick Moranis was ubiquitous growing up. I mean,
oh my gosh,
like
yeah.
Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Which, could you imagine releasing a movie called Honey, I Blew Up the Kids in 2026? Instead, we just shipped that overseas. So
I'm shocked that those two movies have not been remade for streaming.
Yeah, you can't do. Honey,
there's so much shit. Did you know there's a Burbs series?
Yes, and no slander with anything with Keke Palmer involved. I will hear no slander.
Yeah, I love Keke Palmer.
Can do no wrong.
Yeah, Burbs. Leave it alone.
Love the Burbs. I love the Burbs. The supporting cast, though: Steve Martin, John Candy, Bill Murray, Christopher Guest has a.
Wait, who's
hard to recognize him? He is okay. So, the very quick synopsis of this movie is this really nerdy guy living in Skid Row working at this plant shop, Seymour. He finds this weird plant. He's never seen anything like it. He brings it to this failing shop in this failing, struggling neighborhood, and he works with, he's in love with his coworker, Audrey, and then Mr. Mushnick, who's their boss, and that's Vincent Gardenia, and he's great. I love Vincent Gardenia in this, but it's Mr. Mushnick's plant shop. So he gets his plant, and because he's such a simp, as we would say in today's parlance, he names the plant Audrey too, because he just loves Audrey so much. And so it turns out that this plant is a carnivorous entity from space. And it keeps growing and growing. And the reason it's growing is Seymour finds out that it lives off of blood. And as the movie goes on, its thirst for blood grows to where eventually Seymour has to make the decision, is it worth maybe killing somebody to keep Audrey 2 growing? So
I think
it's crazy dark.
My Letterboxd review this week was, this is playing out a lot like a Netflix documentary series.
I could just see them cutting to, people that knew Seymour. He just seemed like a normal guy. He's just a regular guy. Didn't know
it was a normal plant.
Yeah, didn't know he was chopping people up.
I didn't know about the bloodlust.
So this movie has one of my favorite openings of all time. A big criticism of musicals when they're adapted to movies is that it feels like a stage. Well, what Frank Oz does so well is it feels like a few stages in a way that you really wouldn't be able to do in a theater. It really feels like Skid Row and the shop. It has a sense of place on the street.
This reminded me so much of Rear Window.
Yeah.
I just rewatched Rear Window a couple months ago, and I was like, man, this is like the total same like stage, set stage vibe. Everything's in this world right here. Yeah.
And the songs in this movie are genuinely great songs. Some of my favorites, as far as like musicals are concerned, I was always attracted to, and really this movie is kind of ground zero for my love for musical in theaters. Started with Little Shop of Horrors, because I'm just a sucker for comedies and horror, and so just combining like all of that. I have two things about that, because I looked up, Roger Ebert loved this movie, which is awesome. I read his review of the movie, and he erroneously said that there was no Greek chorus in the stage version, and I was like, there is a Greek chorus in the stage version. That's wrong, Mr. Ebert. And he's dead, so I can't tell him to his face, but he's wrong about that. But he was right on the movie being great. This is an Alan Menken did the music, which Alan Menken, now is musical royalty. I mean, this dude is the guy who a few years later won an Oscar for writing the lyrics and music to The Little Mermaid. So he's pretty great. And then Howard Ashman did the lyrics. So yeah, the music's great in this movie, and then the monster is just so damn likable. Audrey 2 turns into this hilarious big, and it's an animatronic. That's the other thing I think why this movie still holds up, because it's an animatronic. I mean, there's nothing fake about Audrey 2. It was Brian Henson actually helped perform. Like Jim Henson's son was one of the performers of Audrey 2. The physicality of the animatronic and the Muppet little parts to it, and the voice of Audrey 2, which this is Levi Stubbs. And Levi Stubbs is a fucking legend. Lead singer of the Four Tops.
That's right. That's right.
So the sugar pie, honey bunch.
Yeah.
Like that. Literally, I mean, they had tons of bangers.
I didn't realize. Yeah. Okay.
So he does this big kind of campy performance as Audrey 2 that, I mean, anytime growing up when we were hungry, you're just like, feed me, Seymour.
Feed me.
He does such a great job. Everyone else does a good job of singing. I think Ellen Green in particular is like a genuinely great singer. Moranis does a good job. But then when Levi Stubbs sings, you're like, oh, this dude knows what he's doing.
He's on a whole nother level.
When he sings Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, what a fucking badass. So good. So it's funny. Music's great, and the monster, it really, I mean, iconic. Audrey 2 is iconic, and I think would be a good hang, because Audrey 2 likes to sing. I like to sing, Audrey 2 pretty much just focused on where do we get food. Like that's an pretty easy. It's kind of like having a dog that kills people. Just feed me and let's hang out.
This is a frightening pick. Did you? Can I ask? Did you watch the extended or the original version?
So for my rewatch, I did the original. Nice ending. So this movie, when it was originally conceived, well, because they adapted it from the stage. So originally, it is not such a nice ending. Everybody dies. Seymour,
So I was
Audrey.
like, this is a very
Audrey 2
bizarre
eats,
pick because you just led to the end of the world, buddy.
Yeah. Like Audrey 2 eats Seymour and the original Audrey, and then just keeps eating and goes on a rampage and won't stop growing. But for my Monster Squad, I like to think that he gets a little bigger, but then just chills out at a respectable size.
Okay, that makes sense.
Still is useful in the sense of, I mean, a Monster Squad's got to be able to terrorize a little bit. I think Audrey 2 is pretty terrifying. My favorite Audrey 2 quote is "tough titty." That's my favorite. Seymour is whining about not wanting to kill, and Audrey 2 just goes "tough titty." Like fuck yeah. Did they just get Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops to say "tough titty" in a movie in 1986? It's amazing. But really a movie for the outcast too. Like the losers, like Skid Row. Tish Campbell is one of the girls in the Greek chorus. That's TV royalty. She was on the Jamie Foxx show, My Wife and Kids, just like some classic 1990s television. And she also got a great voice. So Steve Martin also, come on. Steve Martin. I didn't realize as a kid what I was watching. In my head, I always thought Steve Martin is this abusive, evil dentist, which is true. But I thought he was just being mean to Bill Murray, and everyone hates going to the dentist. It wasn't until I rewatched this movie, in my late teens, early 20s, I was like, oh, Bill Murray's getting off on, on this.
Yeah, this whole sequence with Bill Murray's cameo. And this was before I was actually allowed to watch Ghostbusters. So I remember my cousin Jared, who I think it's the first shout out to cousin Jared. He's like, oh, like all the Ghostbusters, like he's got Bill Murray's in it, the dude from Ghostbusters, and then Steve Martin. All of our favorite people watching growing up, all the favorite comedies were in this movie.
Steve Martin is, I think, for people, if you only know Steve Martin from Only Murders in the Building, if you're just like a modern Steve Martin fan, you got a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Are there those of you out there
There
that
has to
only
be.
know Steve Martin from that?
Chris, not everybody's in their 40s. So
They should be.
So
They should be.
that's what happens as you get older. You know, like if you're 16 years old, 17 years old, you've only seen the Selena Gomez show.
Go watch The Jerk, man. Go watch The Jerk. If you've never seen The Jerk, go watch The Jerk.
Jerk is great. I wonder how it plays to modern audiences, but it is a great movie. Steve Martin is so dark in this movie. He's such a piece of shit. There's also a really cool shot in his song where it's like from inside of someone's mouth as like Steve Martin and his assistants are singing. There's some cool stuff. He has a little ofrenda to his mother in his closet. That cracked me up.
I couldn't help but notice that strange and interesting plant in the window.
Yeah, that's Christopher Guest.
Oh, that's who it is.
Yeah,
okay,
Christopher Guest, he's the guy. He comes in, American from a 1955 movie shtick that he's doing. So he's like, I have $50 for roses for my wife. Do you have change for 100?
He almost sounds. I mean, did they ADR that? It sounds so.
It almost seems dubbed.
It's so stylized and so. I was like, it almost sounds like it's ADR. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, Jim Belushi's in it. Jim Belushi's up at the very end. Oh, in the original ending, they recast him that part for the original ending because he's trying to get Seymour to make a bunch of little Audrey 2s and sell them all over the world. And it's a great moment because Jim Belushi just like appears around the corner when they're singing and he goes, "Hey, if you kids will stop singing for a second."
Man.
It's so good.
A few weird things I noticed on this viewing. One of the very first shots of Audrey, someone is bending over and Audrey goes and opens the plant monster, opens its mouth and starts wiggling its tongue. Is Audrey tonguing a butthole in this scene or
which
mimicking
Audrey?
It? Like
which Audrey?
Audrey 2, not Audrey. Ellen Green, call me. Audrey 2.
It was like, whoa, we watched completely different
Ellen
movies.
Green, we'll talk offline.
Yeah.
Audrey 2. There's one of the very first shots of Audrey 2. I swear to God, Audrey 2 is like tonguing a butthole.
Well, miming, tonguing a butthole.
Miming, yeah. It doesn't. We don't actually get that. That's in the porn parody.
Yeah, it's implied that Little Shop of Horror, just Little Shop of Horrors. Audrey 2, the plant, does some very inappropriate things. That is one of them for sure.
Yeah, I will say Audrey's Somewhere That's Green, this song that's all about,
it's a good song.
Romance and white picket fences and mowing lawns and growing families. For everyone else, this is like such a romantic song. This song to me is the most frightening fucking thing in this movie. The real horror is not in Audrey 2. It is in the song Somewhere That's Green.
See,
I do not want to marry you. I don't want to have 3.5 kids. I don't want to mow the lawn. I don't want a white picket fence. I don't want any of that shit. This is fucking frightening to someone like me.
That's because you don't live in Skid Row. Okay, so they're dreaming of somewhere green because, there's literally nothing green and it's a very drab, droll existence for them. But it's also why I think this look at Americana that happened in the 80s, kind of the perspective shifting on the Leave It to Beaver.
The first time we tried to make America great again?
Exactly. Not the first time and not the last. I thought those were those Nazis in Hellboy. But in 1986, this comes out and Blue Velvet comes out. And so these two dark takes on Americana in different ways, kind of two sides of the same coin, in my opinion. But because Dennis Hopper is he's a monster, but not a true monster, I didn't pick him for my Monster Squad. So it's Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors is my first pick. And I have been singing those songs to myself since I rewatched the movie 2 days ago.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I did pop on the playlist on Spotify.
Little Shop of Horror. It's a fucking bop.
Right. On to round 2. Pick number 2. So I'm hanging out with Hellboy. You're feeding your plant.
Yeah, I've got the glasses. Oh, gee, Audrey.
So Hellboy and I, we plan on going hard. All right. We're staying up all hours of the evening. And so whenever we want to rest, we need to make sure things are quiet. All right. And I have a surefire way of ensuring that things remain. And not only that, but I'm a very quiet individual. I like my peace.
True.
Okay. I don't like loud noises. I don't like crowds. I'm doing this podcast with my good buddy who is a live musician. I can't say I'm a big fan of live music at restaurants and shit. I want to be able to have a conversation. So in order to make sure that things are quiet, I have chosen for my number 2 pick. What the fuck is this thing even called? The Monster from a Quiet Place, and specifically Quiet Place Day 1. We're just going to call it the Shh Monster. Okay. So yeah, the reason I'm picking Quiet Place.
The ASMR part.
The ASMR monsters.
I would have died immediately if these monsters were real. Because I would have farted.
So you want whatever the fuck the monsters are called.
So I kind of listed this out as here is what is going to happen to you. And the reason that I chose this monster, it was, well, for one, there's not just one of them. They're expendable.
So many. Yeah.
We have plenty of backup here. All right. It's almost like having on your phone like 10 different alarms to wake you up in the morning.
Yeah.
Which anyone who says they do not do that, they're fucking liars. There's multiple of them. And so, in my pack, in my pack of Quiet Place monsters, we have Xavier. Okay. We have Pubert. We have Snake.
You've named
them. Yes, okay. I've named them. Xavier, Pubert, Snake, and Elio are.
These are all Pixar titles. I'm pretty sure.
These are my Quiet Place monsters who are going to ensure that they remain quiet. And quite frankly, in Quiet Place Day 1, you don't actually see a whole lot of them. Somehow in the movie that takes place on Day 1, when we don't know all the rules about the monsters, we actually see them the least. This is, and I'll say that I'm being kind of, silly here. Quiet Place Day 1 is a tremendous, I do think it's a tremendous movie. Great accomplishment, directed by, we were debating this before we started recording. It's Michael Sarnowski, right? Yeah. Sarnowski directed this one. Who also did, tell me, just because I'm going to fucking screw it up.
What do you mean?
Sarnowski also directed...
according to you, Hellboy and Dog Soldier.
Stop, shut up. I was like, Sarnowski directed every single movie that would...
You were like, this is crazy. 6 movies. How did we pick 6 movies all directed by
what the fuck did
Michael Swearenowskis?
Before this, he did Pig, right?
He did. I was going to say, he did the Nick Cage Pig movie. He is tied into video games. I believe he's tapped to do the Death Stranding movie that has supposedly been in the works. And then I can't think of another movie.
And I think later on this year,
TV show.
He's doing the grizzled Hugh Jackman Death of Robin Hood. Is what is coming out a little bit later this year.
Okay.
And the reason I'm bringing up Quiet Place Day 1, this did do significant. It made a 261.9 million worldwide. I just don't feel like it's talked about that much. We're already going back to the original cast, I think, in the next one. What's his name? Jim. I just know him from Jim from The Office.
Krasinski.
I get him and Kozinski mixed up sometimes.
Same with me with Rasputin and Putin.
But yeah, this is a much more, I don't know, this is much more of a character-driven thing. You've got Lupita Nyong'o in there doing some good stuff. I will say, for me, one, if you're going to have a movie at its core, the motivation of which is pizza.
Yeah.
This entire movie is motivated by pizza, which is something that I relate to, I can empathize with, I can cry over even. And I even cried in this movie. When she eventually gets, spoiler alert, when she gets some pizza, there is an absolutely lovely scene here where we share a slice and share a memory. It's a really heartfelt, wonderful moment. And then 10 minutes later, the monster is like Roman Reigns spearing people on the streets. Now, here's what the monster looks like if you've never seen these movies. I would describe it as a 4-legged nightmare crab.
Yeah.
whose head opens with some flaps. They got a lot of flappiness going on, and lots of rows of like really well maintained teeth for wherever they're coming from. I don't know if they got Steve Martin for their dentist or whatnot, but
Yeah,
some
it's
really well maintained teeth there.
universal healthcare. Everyone except Earth has it. So
yeah, but there's only like really like 2 set pieces, I'd say, with the monsters in this movie, if that. Really not the point of the movie. I'm just saying, I think Quiet Place Day 1 is low-key the best of the 3 that have come out so far, even a little bit better than the first one. I don't know. I like a small, quiet, character-driven piece. They are tremendous listeners.
They are.
The ears on the ear holes on these things go for days. So I feel that in those quiet moments, if I do have something I need to share or talk to them about, they're going to listen to me.
Well, they're going to be right up on you listening for sure.
Yeah, all up in it. If you are a fan of cats,
I was going to say, this is your second
probably. I'll go with a hot take. This is the greatest performance by a cat in a movie ever.
Whoa.
Yes. I'll put this above Jonesy. I'll put this above Halle Berry. I'll put this above Michelle Pfeiffer.
There's nothing above Michelle Pfeiffer.
Maybe not. Michelle Pfeiffer's so fucking hot. That was my 23rd sexual awakening.
That was that was pretty early. Mine's 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. The cat, whose name is Frodo, by the way.
This is an
really
official
spectacular.
This is an official Lord of the Rings spinoff. It's canon, is my take, because the guy's name is Sam, and he's carrying Frodo in a fraught, perilous part of the world, and Joseph Quinn looks like a hobbit. So I'm like, it's a Lord of the Rings movie.
This movie does suffer in one way. There's a big fault here in this movie. I don't know if you caught this one or not, but kind of my big gripe is that there's no Emily Blunt.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could get Lupita
if Emily
and Emily Blunt
was in this movie, man, it's a 10 out of 10 for me of Emily Blunt in this movie, but it'll have to settle out for like a 8.5 out of 10 without Emily Blunt.
Dang. I really wish we could have seen the version of this movie that Jeff Nichols was going to do, because originally Jeff Nichols, the director of Bike Riders and Mud and tons of
see what I mean? Movies. I had no idea who the fuck Jeff Nichols was until he said that. Now I know exactly who it is.
One of my all-time favorite filmmakers, honestly. And he was working on A Quiet Place that would eventually became Day One, but some creative differences and all that stuff. So from what I heard, he had like a full script. And
what do you think those creative differences were? It needs to be more quiet?
Well, maybe. So I just watched this movie.
This movie's not quiet enough?
I literally watched this movie and then came here to do this podcast in my studio that I walked 5 feet to get to. I saw this twice in the theater. I saw it once with my wife and once with my second wife, Chris.
My 43rd sexual awakening.
That was his 43rd sexual awakening. Gingers, I'll be damned. When I watched it in the theater, I loved it both times in the theater. Watching it at home, it's not that I didn't like it, but it's one of the first times that recently where I can say that I liked it a lot less not watching it in the theater. I think I really need that environment for this movie to work.
Is it because, this is a bit of a slower pace. It is a quieter movie than the other two.
Well,
were you tempted to second screen it, or?
Well, it was a little bit of that, and also you have to suspend your disbelief a lot. And when you're in a quiet theater, kind of mimicking the environment that the characters are in, to me, it really puts you into it. When you're not in that environment with all the lights off and everyone's being quiet, you start to think well, how come they can't hear that? Well, how come the creatures didn't hear that? It plays really fast and loose in this one with the rules of the world. And so it just really kind of bothered me watching it at home. And I think it's because, I'm my dog's running around, I'm in a chaotic environment. And in the movie, I'm well, why didn't they fucking hear that? Well, how come they didn't hear that? So yeah, not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. And one of the better blockbuster horror light movies we've gotten in a while. We don't get a lot of blockbuster type movies that dabble in horror And I think it's cool that we have a series like A Quiet Place where they've turned into like a bigger budget,
Yeah.
horror like
And
action.
I was not at all excited for this movie because I felt that they were already going in the same direction as, I don't know if is Conjuring responsible for this for all the offshoot movies of the I hate to use the
I
fucking
mean,
word universe, but
Marvel, really.
Marvel, but then we go into Annabelle, The Nun,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these things. And so for me, I'm like, oh, we're already doing the offshoot sequel
yeah,
already. I don't want to get into too many of these, but this one, as far as offshoot
yeah,
sequels goes, it has to be one of the best.
yeah. I mean, and it works because it's they pick the specific period, like the day one. I think that's kind of what sets it apart. But yeah, Lupita Nyong'o it's her movie. I don't know why she isn't just like the biggest actress in the world,
Right.
because
And
she's
she
one of
has
the
her
best.
Oscar, right? She has an Oscar.
It was her, but
Yeah.
I have two issues with that.
Which one?
One, I don't know if that's her because it's 12 Years a Slave, and
Okay.
it's some of her best work for sure, but it was very much she was a new to Hollywood actress, and I feel like it reminded me of Denzel Washington getting supporting actor for Glory. It's like they will give them the Oscar for playing the tortured African slave, but then when Lupita, like Us, she should have been nominated for Us. Like it's insane that she wasn't nominated for
Yeah.
Us, but it's not the right kind of black suffering for the Oscars. That's my take.
But so my first pick is
Sure.
Hellboy. We're hanging out, we're having fun, and in order to make sure that we get the
Sure.
proper amount of sleep that we need and to
Yeah.
keep things quiet, just the way I like it, my second pick is the Shh Monster from
Yeah.
Quiet Place Day 1, 2024.
Gotta get those honk shoes in. So pivoting from you've done two cat movie picks, ironically. So we're gonna go from cats to dogs. My second pick is 2002's Dog Soldiers. And it's not just in case you were just conjuring up images of like dogs with little berets on going into war. It's not about that at all.
I was going to say it kind of is that.
I mean, it's a little, but there's one real dog in the movie, and then the other dogs are actually werewolves. So this is a werewolf movie from 2002, directed by Neil Marshall. This is Neil Marshall's first movie. Neil Marshall directed the David Harbour Hellboy, so there's a little bit of a connection. But this he directed and wrote, and honestly, I really like a simple, dumb B movie set up to a horror movie. This is a brilliant idea for your first time out doing a movie because it's pretty much just one location or two locations, and it's pretty much Platoon meets Night of the Living Dead, where it starts off with the movie is these soldiers in I guess it's in Scotland, I believe, and they're out in the forest.
Scotland.
And they're doing like a training exercise, but very quickly in the movie, during the training exercise, they come upon a team of special forces that have been grisly murdered, and there's only one survivor, and that leads to them holding up in a house after meeting a mysterious girl that they don't think to question too hard about why she's out in the middle of the nowhere where only military training exercises happen. But she rolls up and helps save them and takes them to this house. And then the rest of the movie is literally we're just in a house with this squad of 6 soldiers and they're just fighting off werewolves. So very simple. You're going to know just from reading the synopsis whether you fuck with this movie or not. Because if you hear that and you're like, that's stupid.
You just described, that's the movie, though. You just described the movie.
Like, if you think that that's stupid, then you're going to think that it's stupid. Like, I'm not going to tell you that there's some magical moment in this movie that reveals some depth. It is literally, there is no deeper message here. There is nothing. The one thing you could maybe say is it's a depiction of the way soldiers have each other's back in the military. You get a little bit of that. That's about as deep as the themes in this movie go. But it's a real who's who of that guy's in
it really is. It really is. That was to me, that was the real treat of this is seeing all the it's that one.
You're like, oh, that guy's in it. Sean Pertwee plays the captain of these guys. You've seen, I mean, he was in Event Horizon, Equilibrium. Kevin McKidd is the hero in this, really. And Kevin McKidd, he's Train Spotting, Brave, Kingdom of Heaven, I believe. What's that? Topsy Turvy. that one from '99. Liam Cunningham is in this. He's the Davros from Game of Thrones.
That's right.
He's one of the that guyest of the that guys in this movie. And then their names are all great, like Kevin McKidd Cooper. You've got Sergeant Wells, which is Harry Wells, H.G. Wells. There's one of them is a Corporal Bruce Campbell, like Evil Dead. Yeah, it's a gnarly horror movie from a gore standpoint. I don't think I was prepared for how gory it was going to be. And I texted Chris during the goriest scene of the movie, that I was just losing my mind laughing and being like, oh my God. There's the sergeant in the movie, he gets cut open and his intestines are just like out. And so they take him to the house and he still has his intestines out and they're trying to hold him in and they got to stitch him back up. But the werewolves attack and it just, as these werewolves, literally like a werewolf has his arm like through the front door and they're trying to get it out. And as that's happening, the border collie that's hanging out at the house goes and grabs one of the intestines hanging out of the sergeant and starts tugging. And he's like, fuck no. And so he's literally got all these intestines spilling out of him and a dog's trying to chew on them. Points for creativity. I've never seen anything like that in a movie, especially executed chaotically the way it is.
My favorite is when one of these fucking dog soldiers just rips a fucking head off and throws it back at him.
Yes.
He just clean rips a fucking head off and throws it like a basketball. Do you have a favorite quote?
Dude, there was and this is why, I mean, if you like B movies, this is a good B movie. Because there were so many, the Cooper, maybe nuts, but I'm not a fruitcake. What? You're not a fruit?
For me, it's dogs, more like pussies.
Yeah. Or there's a female werewolf in it, and before she turns into a werewolf, she literally is like, I'm the real bitch. and then like shows her changing and she goes, I guess it's that time of the month. I was like, no. Oh no. There was not one woman on set to be like, wait guys, this might not work as well as we think it does. But some of the hyper masculine like fights between like the sergeant and the special ops guy, because they're genuinely good actors. There's some scenes that work really well, and there's some other scenes that are just classic stupid horror B movie.
This movie does run a little bit longer than, of course, that's a common thing with me.
Yeah.
Longer than it should. I did end up second screening it for probably a good 30 minutes of this movie.
Nice.
But what struck me in watching this is that this came out the exact same year as 28 Days Later, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And it looks just as good as 28 Days Later does.
That's fair. Yeah.
Has anyone gone back and watched 28 Days Later? It looks like fucking shit.
I mean, it was shot on shitty
Whatever
cameras.
we were doing with those, what was it, like the mini DV or something?
Those DV
something like that.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. So 28 Days Later was hugely successful. This was, this
is a cult classic.
This is a cult. It was 6.5 million worldwide total.
Yeah.
Of course, it's got to be like triple or quadruple whatever the budget was for this thing, right?
Yeah, it was an indie film. I think it's successful in the creature department, especially. So obviously, I'm picking pretty much any of the werewolves in this movie. I just wanted a werewolf on my team, and Audrey 2 is not very mobile, and my third pick isn't necessarily very mobile either. So I wanted something to go fast, and the werewolf design is really cool in this movie.
It's cool, yeah. I'll give it that.
I think it's cooler than a lot of other werewolf movies. They almost have an extraterrestrial way of standing, like they're very tall and they fill up the frame.
Werewolves have, feel like, have had
Where?
What?
Who's wolf?
Huh?
What wolves? Werewolves, not
werewolf. Werewolf. Oh, fuck, we could do
done
that
with
for
your
fucking
shit.
20 minutes, couldn't we? Werewolves.
Now it sounds weird.
Have had a hard time at the movies. I feel like there's not a lot of great successful. So I got curious and I was like, what are the biggest werewolf movies of all time? What, Clint, do you think is the highest grossing werewolf movie of all time?
The highest grossing? Does Twilight count?
I should say, features a werewolf in some
Does Twilight count? Is it Twilight Breaking Dawn?
Twilight New Moon is the most successful werewolf movie of all time at
Whatever.
709. Of course, if we're only doing box office as success, that
Yeah.
movie, of course, has a complete failure to all humanity, but it made $709 million.
Yeah.
And that is over double what the movie second most successful movie is. Do you know what that is?
Is it Wolfman?
Often thought of as a bomb, but
Was
these
it
are not
Benicio
bomb
del
numbers.
Toro's Wolfman?
Close. That's
Okay.
third, I think.
Wow.
Van Helsing
Hey.
is the second most successful movie featuring a werewolf.
I'll take it.
At 300 million.
The Van Helsing, not a good movie, but Kate Beckinsale can do no wrong.
That didn't see it.
Wow.
Yeah, still have not to this day. That might be a fun watch at some point in time.
That's a fun, cheesy little watch.
Yeah. You know what?
It's fun.
If Arrow comes out with a Van Helsing fat box, I will probably pick it up as a blind buy.
Be a fun double feature with Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Where are you at on the classic Jack Nicholson Wolf?
What's his one called?
It's just called Wolf, dude. The Jack Nicholson.
It's just called Wolf.
It's just called Wolf. Yeah,
really?
It's just called Wolf. Isn't it like him and Michelle Pfeiffer? I think. I haven't seen it in years and years and years.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
I just remember him, and I remember the trailer, and he's in the bathroom. He's just marking my territory.
Well, that's an actual line. Oh God.
Yes.
No, that's awful.
I'm glad I was able to watch this. B movie classic at this point.
It is. And it unlocked a memory for me watching Dog Soldiers. I was in the Scouts growing up, and much like these soldiers, it was very similar situation. And we were out camping, and one of the kids was talking about this werewolf movie he'd seen and was describing how gory and bloody it was. And I realized as I was watching this movie, it was Dog Soldiers is what that kid was trying to tell us about, which checks for what year it came out as well. So it was one of those movies that I feel that very well earned cult classic status. Yeah, I always knew some kind of like Donnie Darko, like that early turn of 2000s, those movies that people were just renting and taking to each other's houses, or they owned the DVD, or they would rip the DVD, like pirate it. And like, oh, you haven't seen this? We're all going to get together and watch this like crazy movie.
Now that I think about it, this was kind of the treat of this movie this movie did not get served up to me on an algorithm. I devour movie podcasts and books and what. Hadn't heard anyone talk about this movie. Clint just a week or two ago was like, Dog Soldiers. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And so to have a word by mouth movie like that, you don't get those recommendations too much anymore. So that was kind of the fun aspect of this to me.
Old school. And I don't know if you even stuck around for the credits or if the streaming service let you stick around. I've been just because I get annoyed that they're like, don't you want to watch this now? You have 8 seconds to decide.
Let us watch. I still want to watch the credits, fuckers.
Yeah, I fucking hate that. Well, in this one, so I stopped at the streaming service and no, I want to see the credits. And as the credits go in Dog Soldiers, there's a character in the movie that has an actual like film camera, and they use it to like flash photography, like try to blind the werewolves that are coming in. And if you stick around in the credits, every now and then they show one of the photographs that they took.
Nope, it was a
really nice.
Thanks, Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice touch that you just don't get to see, because it's like, don't you want to see an American Werewolf in London next? If I'd wanted to see that, I would have fucking put that movie on.
If you like werewolves, you'll like Taylor Lautner in any of the shitty movies he did after Twilight.
I don't know. I can only think of one movie he did after Twilight.
I can't
That
even
wasn't
name it.
just
I was
a
gonna name it
cameo.
really quick.
Yeah, so Dog Soldiers, the werewolf. I just wanted a werewolf, and there were so many choices that I could have picked, but this was a fun, dumb movie to watch, and I enjoyed it.
So far, I'm hanging out with Hellboy in Europe and ensuring a nice, quiet night's rest with it. And Clint has a plant and a dog.
That's a pretty great setup. Hell yeah. All right, Chris, you have Red Nippled Hellboy, you have the Shushy Monsters, and you have this.
We're having a good time. We're getting a good night's rest. Well, guess what? We need a way to get around. What monster in a movie could possibly get us from point A to point B? And I went with the most simplest, logical possible choice I could make, and that is the sandworm from Dune 2. So we're going to be using our thumper and we're going to be summoning those worms.
Thumper.
A thumper. And we're just going to be we're going to pub crawl on the sandworm, baby.
Wow.
Man, the spice is going to flow. Now, I have no interest in talking that much about Dune 2. We all saw this movie
you hate
just
Timothy
a few
Chalamet.
years ago, and we all know my feelings on Timothy Chalamet, which I will say, I kind of love one of the opening scenes here where Timothy is coming back into the Fremen after having just killed the dude, and everyone just fucking hates this dude. And I was like, man, this must be what if he's like going to Lincoln Center to the ballet or something right now, this must be what it feels like right now. I love the opening of both the first Dune and the second Dune. Power over spice is power over all. It's just so cool.
Sandworm from Dune, specifically Dune Part 2, is your pick.
Yes, because it's the biggest.
Actual name is, do you have that written down?
Oh, it's
they say it very reverently.
El Shaddai? El Shaddai?
No, that's Arrakis's #1 pop star. No, it's a Shai Hulud,
right?
Shai-Hulud, something like that. I don't know, El Shaddai.
That was El Shaddai. Now, I'll say this. Dune 2, I was just edging for worm the first hour of this movie.
Okay, that's
sure going to be so much. You get so much worm sign. You get so much worm sign in the beginning of this movie. Like there's hints and little drops, little teases of the worm. And we really don't get it until Timmy catches his first big worm about 15 minutes into the movie.
This episode is full of innuendo and weird phrasing from you in all of your picks.
Well, and really, because it's at 50 minutes, one of the standout things, and I'm sorry, we're not, I don't know, are you really going to Dune to see Timmy or Zendaya or whoever? You're going to see the worm. All right, I'm going to see the worm. And it does get its full due. And so about 15 minutes in, you get the full, complete, and utter you get the whole opening of the robe. And here comes
Sexual Awakening number.
This is Sexual Awakening number 193. Let me tell you, whenever the sand parts and the robe opens and you just get this big fucking tubular worm just crawling through the sand. Oh, man.
Hell yeah.
Oh, so much spice, so much worm sign all over the place.
Vibrations.
Now,
makes it come.
I wasn't a big fan. There's some worm violence in this movie. Wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
and then towards the end, we realized that there's just you get those 3 big, gigantic worms at the very end. I mean, it's not just one dong, it's 3, man. 3 big sand dongs just like right there. Oh, just willing
like last week
taking over.
Goro.
And then you got the Emperor. He's like, oh my God, we got these big worms. The spice, it must flow,
That's your Denis Villeneuve.
It's Denis Villeneuve directing Dune 2 to Christopher. Now, Chris, here's how I want you to deliver this line. Just like this, spice, it must flow.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
What are you going to do? Every Harkonnen in this movie looks like Robert Blake from Lost Highway.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Creepy.
Maybe, and I don't know if that's the inspiration for it, but you get that little extra bit of creep. And I think of Robert Blake in Lost Highway every single time I see a Harkonnen in this movie.
They're just the human version of the worms.
Yeah, and a lot of people, whether you've read the Dune books, you saw this movie, are going to say, yeah, Timothy Chalamet, Moadi, the Lisan Galib. He's the hero of the movie. He's the protagonist. And he ultimately, Lisan Galib, by the way, so fucking good.
I would have nominated Javier for that. The best thing in the movie.
Timothy Chalamet is not the hero of this movie. Does Timmy get the love interest at the end of the movie. He decides to take the emperor's little pew. Who gets Zendaya in the end of this movie?
The worm.
Who does Zendaya travel off into the sunset with at the end of this movie? The worm.
Yeah.
The star of this movie is the worm, and it gets the love interest at the end.
Yeah.
The worm wins big. That is why the worm is my third pick here.
How do you think Hellboy is going to feel about the worm?
I mean, he's going to be a little antsy about it, but he, then again, that's why I have him here, because if the worm or the monster gets out of hand, I know he's going to be able to handle it. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. And there are similarities between the worm and the shush monster, because the worms go off of vibrations.
Not to mention that, but this movie, my perfect pick, probably the best popcorn bucket ever created. Do you remember the popcorn bucket?
Sexual Awakening number 150.
Stick your hand in that and get something buttery and gooey.
Know what you're doomed to that.
We'll have to post a picture of the sandworm bucket with this episode if anyone has forgotten what this thing looked like. Oh gosh, I want one of those.
I feel similarly like I do with Oppenheimer, where I was like, this looks incredible. There's no way if I do this outside of the theater, I'm going to really enjoy watching it again. So when Dune 3 comes out, if they put the Dune movies back in the theater, I'm there. I'll watch them. I love the theatrical experience with Dune. So I mean, very, very well-crafted movies. It's not a bad movie. Like I just don't love it.
It's one of those cases where it's like you did everything right.
Yeah. Looks great. Sounds great.
Cool. This was only my second viewing of this movie since seeing it in the IMAX, and I have a decent setup for I got a great TV. I don't have a great sound system though, and I was into it. I was engaged the entire time. Didn't second screen it a single bit.
Nice.
Had a nice slice of pizza while I was eating.
Of course you did.
And it was a good time at the movies that night. But it is like, God, I don't know why we're making movies so fucking long. This is a movie that deserves to be long. Every movie does not need to be Dune 2, for fuck's sake.
I agree. Unless it's Lee Cronin's The Mummy. We'll see how
Lee
that
Cronin,
aged.
who did not write the novel The Mummy. He directed the movie The Mummy. That does not star Brendan Fraser.
That does not.
I don't give a shit what you think about Dune 2, but what do you think about that sandworm?
My hot take is that you picked the wrong sandworm. I think you should have gone with the Beetlejuice sandworm. That's my hot take.
You know what? I no regrets. No regrets. No regrets.
No, you wouldn't have been able to get that past customs for sure. I think it's a great team for hanging out. I don't think you're going to get shit done.
Yeah, we're getting across Europe on the sandworm. We're getting a nice quiet sleep with Monster, and we're just drinking and having debauchery, good time.
Hell yeah.
With Hellboy.
I think it's a good crew, Chris. So to round out my 3 picks of the Monster Squad, we're going to take it back almost, if you can believe this is like 91 years. We're getting close to 100 years old, this movie. Which is
Holy
insane.
Shit.
But I gave myself some criteria. I wanted it to be a little campy of monsters, like a little, that's why Little Shop of Horrors, Dog Soldiers. These aren't the most refined, but I did need some sort of leader. You can't all be like goof asses. We need someone to round this team out. And so I picked 1935's absolute stone cold classic, Bride of Frankenstein, directed by James Whale, who also did the original Frankenstein. This is not only one of the first horror sequels, really from a major studio, but it is arguably the most successful horror sequel of all time in the sense of almost 100 years later, and people still talk about it.
I'm down with this take. I am down with this take.
People still watch this movie. And this is, I think, the most impressive. So very shortly, if you don't know the story of Frankenstein. So I'm not even going to explain the story of Frankenstein, but Bride of Frankenstein literally picks up
who wants to be human.
Exactly. The Guillermo del Schwarzenegger. You see, you're like combining that with your walk-in.
It's not a Frankenstein movie. I swear this time.
He's his bride. This This time, something else wants to fuck Frankenstein. Okay, Guillermo, we get it. But so Bride of Frankenstein picks up right where Frankenstein ends. The classic story where you think of like he's at
Literally.
the literally like at the windmill, it's burning down, all doom and gloom. They're dead. You know, Frankenstein's dead. The Frankenstein's monster's dead. You know, that's like the setup. So this movie starts right off the bat. It is only an hour and like 17 minutes. So what a balm compared to these others. This makes Quiet Place of Day 1 look like a long ass movie, and that's not a very
Sure
long
fucking
movie.
does. No, it does. It
But
does.
yeah,
There's not a wasted moment in this movie.
there's not. Every scene is a banger in this movie. If you've never seen Bride of Frankenstein, I don't care if you're like, oh, old movies, blah blah blah. First off, you have an hour to watch this. Come on, and it's so great. The classic performance from Boris Karloff as the monster, Frankenstein's monster. He reprises his role in this. You also have Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein, Hillary Hobson as Elizabeth, the great and deliciously campy Ernest Thesiger as Dr. Pretorius, my favorite character in the movie. And then you have Elsa Lanchester, who not only plays the Bride of Frankenstein, before the movie officially starts,
This
there's
was
a
so surreal to me, this little first part.
it has a little prologue where Elsa Lanchester is playing Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, and she's talking to her brother and Lord Byron, and they're talking about Frankenstein, like her story. Super weird meta moment. It's just a creative plot device that James Whale came up with. And the studio, I looked into this, the studio didn't want him to do it. And it was one of those things where James Whale was like, if you want me to come do this movie, I have to have this beginning in it. Mary Shelley has to be in the movie, and she has to be played by Elsa Lanchester. Like he wanted the same actor. And I will say, Guillermo del Toro does that in his Modern Frankenstein with Mia Goth, which I thought in the theater, I thought that was a tip of the hat to Bride of Frankenstein. It had to be. Obviously, Guillermo del Toro lives and breathes the Frankenstein story. So obviously, he's probably seen this movie like 100 times.
Yeah. And you get shades of it in the Kenneth Branagh one.
I like that movie, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
I am in
like
favor of Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein.
I don't love it, but I do think it's unfairly maligned when it came out. But so yeah, it has this weird meta prologue, and then the rest of the story plays out how you would expect. We have some great scenes in here with Boris Karloff's monster starting to talk, kind of just grunts in the first movie, but in Bride of Frankenstein, he starts to speak a little bit. Like he starts talking, like he can name fire and he can name friend and these different things. You have my favorite sequence in Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's, is the monster befriending the old blind man. That's my favorite sequence in the whole movie. And you see that he pulled that straight from this Bride of Frankenstein. You have this incredible scene where even though Frankenstein has survived the attack of the village, anytime he shows his face anywhere, it's a monster, kill him. And so, of course, one of his only friends is a blind man who lives outside of the village who can't see that he's a monster, doesn't judge him based off of that. And they have some really sweet moments together. The music's really good. I can't say enough good things about this movie. James Whale, also openly gay man at a time where that was unheard of, and you can see how he was drawn to these characters because he did Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, and there's kind of, they go back and forth, historians, on did he put any queer coded things in his movies. You could easily extrapolate from Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein this sense of the people not liking what's different from them, and the way that they just attack that, and that the villains in this movie aren't the monsters, the real monsters are the humans. So people say James Whale, like his partner at the time, said that he did not mean to like put any like gay representation, that it was just he was an artist and that was the best way he could tell the story. So debates go back and forth, but I think anyone who loves horror culture and queer culture can see this Bride of Frankenstein as a touchstone. Like the Bride of Frankenstein's design that we all know is very drag queen inspired. Outlandish wig on this character. It's everything's a little more. Everything's more expressive. The Dr. Pretorius character, who is the new Dr. Frankenstein in the movie. He's encouraging Dr. Frankenstein to make life again. Dr. Pretorius literally says in the movie, when he's trying to tell Dr. Frankenstein to do it, he describes it as, if you're into the biblical stories, he makes a comment like, if you believe the Bible stories, this is a way for, us to be like God. And Pretorius says this is the only way that he could make life, which is a nod to him not being able to biologically procreate as a gay man. And Dr. Pretorius is this very campy and a little, like, he just seems gay, like this kind of flamboyant gay guy. This is awesome. But in 1935, sensibilities were different. People wouldn't have necessarily picked up on these things.
You're at a time when stage actors are
Yeah.
making that transition
Yeah.
to movies, and everyone's just
big.
amped up, stylized, big, theatrical, and so I can see you could easily watch that and like not even think anything of it back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's how people acted on stage.
Yeah. So this movie is one of the pillars of horror as a genre in storytelling, and it culminates in the Bride of Frankenstein being created and coming to life. She has maybe 3 minutes in this movie.
I was shocked.
I know it's called Bride of Frankenstein, but it is the monster, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein's monster, who carries the movie, but it's a testament to the incredible costume design and makeup and the Bride of Frankenstein. Everyone knows that image.
They know exactly what she looks like.
You hear Bride of Frankenstein, and Frankenstein, it conjures up different images of Frankenstein. There's so many competing ones. They're kind of all similar. But Bride of Frankenstein is kind of that one image that you get. Like, I know exactly what this woman looks like. And I just think that's so cool. And the Bride of Frankenstein, from the Bride of Frankenstein, is my pick to round out, because even though she doesn't have, a big role in the movie, she leaves quite the impression. She's going to be a good leader. She's got the campiness, is cool with a little bit
body.
of killer, just to die for. As Audrey too, and her can sing songs together. She can easily just go send the wolf out to hunt for us. It's just evil enough and just fun enough to be a fun monster squad. But I know this was your first time watching Bride of Frankenstein.
So let's talk about another type of awakening that I had this week, and it is that we all have blind spots in our film cinema viewing history. And for some reason, I have never watched a single one of the Universal classic horror films. And I will say, I always do. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. I do get old movie bias sometimes, where I feel like I have to be in a really special mood. I have to really be keyed in for it, like phone away, really just got to get into it and just stick with it. And every time I do that, I'm like, why do you do that to yourself? Because every time I get into one of these, I'm like, this is such a fucking great movie. And this probably, man, I fucking loved this movie from start to finish. I was locked in, not a moment wasted. So I've not seen the original Frankenstein. So I'm like, am I going to be able to keep up?
They catch you up
but
real
they
fast.
have built in that. Hey, they've got the weird little prelude at the very beginning with Mary Shelley. You don't know what my first note was that I took on this movie? Mary Shelley is hot.
Yeah. Elsa Lanchester.
Mary Shelley is a smoke show, man. Mary Shelley is just stunning.
Hell yeah.
In this movie, you get the classic Universal pic. I mentioned it last week, a good studio opening. You get the very classic Universal pictures, the airplane going around.
Yeah,
that's the first time I had watched that opening that was not a part of like some kind of montage or anniversary version of it. And so just to see it happen was really, really cool.
That's so cool.
The effects in this movie look better than 70% of the shit that's out there.
Yeah.
That's my take on this movie, is that the visual effects in this movie look better than the majority of anything that we are doing even to this day.
Man, the production design
this movie's effects are better than Hellboy. I had also kind of microdosed an executive candy right before I watched this movie. And so I didn't know what to expect. But spoiler alert for a movie that's like 100 years old almost, Dr. Pretorius has created very small people.
Like literal tiny small people.
They're literally like tiny people.
Yeah.
And it looks like it does not look juxtaposed. It just looks like there are little people in this jar. And I was freaking the fuck out, man. I was like, how did they do this?
Like,
And it looks
Man, am I
great.
going
It
to be
looks
in a jar
perfect.
one day? What the
These
fuck?
little, like, man, Rick Moranis is going to get his shrink ray, and I'm going to end up in a jar somewhere. So, yeah, this was like such a treat. And I love the fact that she's only in this for like the last 3 minutes of the movie. I was kind of edging for the bride this entire time, and finally get her at the very end, and it's worth it. Those 3 minutes alone are worth it. I also I did a lot of self-reflection in
You said
this movie. And then so I said self to myself. I feel like I have so much in common with Frankenstein. The monster, not the doctor, the monster.
Thank God.
I appreciate music. I really do.
Ave Maria. He loves it.
Yeah, I like it to be quiet. I'm not a big fan of big boisterous crowds. I don't like it. I don't like a big crowd, and neither does Frankenstein. I'm usually I'm a man of few words, and so is Frankenstein.
Yeah,
and
debatable
so when he
on a podcast.
When he takes his first drink, and he says, "Drink good."
Yeah.
Like, my sentiments exactly. Drink is good. I love this. I always look like I could have slept for a few more hours. He's always looking a little bit rough, and people often will say that about me. I love Friend. I love Friend.
Yeah.
I love Friend. I love Friend. I don't smoke.
Doesn't like fire.
On occasion, I have taken part in that smoke. And oftentimes, and like just like him, I prioritize work over sleep sometimes, and so
and also unlucky in love.
And unlucky in love. Just no matter how I go about it, just can't seem to get a bride myself. And so a lot of similarities I feel like between me and Frankenstein. And in fact, I oftentimes I probably sound a lot like him as well. So
movie dumb,
too long.
No, like Timmy bad.
Christopher Nolan, good.
Tenet, underrated. What the fuck?
You don't understand.
You spell Frankenstein backwards, not make Frankenstein. You spell Tenet backward, make Tenet. Movie, good.
My God. So yeah. So this was such a great. I'm so glad that you picked this. This was probably my favorite viewing of a movie in this year so far. Has been Bride of Frankenstein. And I picked up this really cool steelbook. This was only like $12 on Amazon like last week.
Yeah.
So really cool stuff. In fact, and I'm already scoping out. I don't know exactly what my game plan is because there are multiple ways of buying the other classic movies, and so trying to figure out exactly which direction I want to go in on because I'm definitely watching all. That may be my Halloween marathon. I always do what's called a spookgasm every single year.
Yeah,
and so I may make my Halloween spookgasm this year all Universal classic stuff and invest in like a really nice set or something.
There is an incredible 4K set. It's like the Hitchcock 4K set where it's coffee book style with the discs at the back. So I
forgot about that.
It is really good. And so I would make that decision before you buy more because it has Bride and they're great transfers. They're probably the same transfers as the other discs, but
and I really like this style of this steelbook.
It's cool. And they have
others,
but they have others.
I feel like there's some of these, but they don't have all of them like this, or there's not like a good set that's all these steelbooks.
No, and I think it was its 90th anniversary last year, and I think that's why they did the steelbook.
Okay.
But yeah, that one's great. I highly recommend if you like horror movies, anyone listening, the Universal monster movies are classics. For a reason, you're going to like some more than others. I think I was surprised at how much I loved Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein the first time I saw those. And then, Invisible Man. Another James Whale classic. That's really worth checking out. Has some effects in it that I still don't understand how they did it.
All kidding aside, this could be easily in my top 10, top 20 movies of all time.
It's beautiful.
Off of this, like it's beautiful. You're right, beautiful, wonderful movie.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. And we didn't really talk about it because Chris hasn't seen it because he's a poser. But the original Monster Squad movie from whatever 80, 87, 88. Whatever that was.
Growing up in a very conservative home, we were very picky and choosy over what Chris was allowed to watch and not watch. And Monster Squad fell for some reason on the side of not being able to watch.
It's the Goonies. It's the Goonies meets.
And because I still live with my parents, they still won't let me watch it to this day. So I got to ask permission for that.
Yeah, it's just Norman Bates style. You just get off camera and you're like, Chris, you're not doing a podcast again, are you? No, mother. Okay, well, that's our 3 picks for Monster Squad.
It was fun.
This was a lot of fun. Let us know your picks for Monster Squads. Tell us why we were stupid for not picking any millennial staples like Monsters Inc. To be honest, I may have put Sully on my team if I had thought about it. But also, he's kind of a bitch and would have been eaten by Audrey too. So maybe not.
I stand by my picks. They're all monsters and they're perfect.
Hell yeah. So go be quiet. Go find a quiet place. Just enjoy the rest of your day.